Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and here is my team builder for Week 7 of the MPL Major Pokemon League. We are going up against Deebz, coach of the Calgary Flame Wheels. Please go check him out. He's a cool dude. He and I have had the opportunity to connect and sort of share our stories of being old and grumpy because we are both working stiffs and just do Pokemon on the side. I suppose most people in this community do Pokemon on the side, but I mean we're not in school or whatever, so as the local grandpas of the MPL, we're gonna square off and let's take a look at his roster. He has Mega Mawile, Dragonite, Necrozma, Porygon 2, Hippowdon, Sandslash, Sneasel, Primarina, Tornadus, Darmanitan, and Electrode. So prior to this week, or maybe the week before, Deebz' team was really slow, and it was kind of like a hard Trick Room team to an extent. Then he decided to pick up Hippo, Sandslash, and Electrode, and made his team quite a bit faster. It's true that like Sneasel and Tornadus are both relatively fast on their own, but his team really focused on like Mawile, Necrozma, etc. And even things like Primarina can be great wall breakers under Trick Room and out of Trick Room as well, but obviously way scarier when they can virtually outspeed everything. So we're going to have to contend with his newfound blazing speed. And we've done our best to put a team together that can do that. So let's just dive right in. First off, we've got a bulky Charizard X with Dragon Dance. We didn't really need much coverage besides Flare Blitz and Thunder Punch. It does leave us a little bit weak to Dragonite, but we can still hit it for pretty good damage. Like Flare Blitz, if it's not, if the Dragonite doesn't have its multi-scale up, still does a good chunk of damage, especially when boosted. The reason I wanted a bulkier set is because this turns Charizard into a pretty good pivot into Mons, such as Mawile, potentially Necrozma if it's needed, Electrode, Darmanitan especially. Darmanitan is pretty scary. So it's just a nice bulky pivot for this week. And we did still put enough speed on here to outspeed a max speed Darmanitan, but then the rest went into bulk and this little bit with attack. And yeah, it still just does tremendous damage to his whole team. I'm expecting a Hippowdon to be the counter to this, because he doesn't really have many other answers. Primarina, I guess, is also a pretty decent answer. But Primarina is highly pressured this game to be a switch into Greninja as well. So if he brings that, I can use Greninja to weaken it and then put it in range easily of +1 Thunder Punch. So something like Hippo is a lot more reliable because Charizard can't threaten it that much. It doesn't resist Flare Blitz, so I can still do pretty good damage to it if I get any amount of chip off. And that's sort of what my next set is meant to do. I do have a circuitry set here that is meant to lure in Hippo and hit it for a ton of damage. So it is a Z Hypnosis set. It does really good versus a lot of his team. Like certain Scarfers like Darmanitan could still outspeed this if I get a +1 boost. But without that, Circuitry does have the potential to go in at +3, even with very little attack investment. I.e. there's no attack investment. The reason bulky Circuitry made more sense to me is because I got screwed over by Tornadus T last week, and so having some sort of answer to Torn Eye made sense. So I can take that hit relatively well. I think I can even take like 2 Hurricanes, or a Hurricane plus a knockoff, or a Hurricane plus a Heat Wave, or whatever. And then if he chooses to stay in, great, I get off a Hypnosis. If he switches out, that's even better, I get off a free Hypnosis. And hopefully it connects, but even if it doesn't, I've got good potential here. Even Unboosted Grass Knot does pretty good damage to Hippowdon, but the hope would be that I can get off a Tail Glow and hit the thing up. I'm expecting a fully Fizz Def, and so no special attack investment still KOs fully physically defensive Hippowdon through Rindoberry at +3. So it just didn't seem necessary to invest in special attack that much. So this could potentially be the win con, but really I just want to use it to wear down the team, especially Hippowdon. So next we do have Rocky Helmet Quillfish, Spike's Painful Liquidation Thunder Wave. Spikes is really nice versus the majority of his team. Besides Dragonite, pretty much everything gets hit by it. I don't think there's anything else that doesn't get hit by spikes. I guess Torn as well. But having the ability to wear down Mawile, Primarina, Porygon especially, is really nice. I could have run T-Spikes instead, but Spikes just seemed nice so that I could do something to Mawile. Otherwise, Qwilfish is sort of the primary response to Darmanitan and Mawile. It's true that Qwilfish can't really threaten Mawile back, but we can go for a Thunder Wave and then repeatedly Pain Split until it gets pretty low. And every time it hits us, it's going to get chipped by Rocky Helmet. And then, yeah, we're just going to be chipping it all the way down with Pain Split. So that's the idea. We put just enough speed on here for Max Speed Primarina, if I'm not mistaken. Even though we can't really touch Primarina. And Primarina still blows us back with either Water or Fire or Fairy moves. But again, if we outspeed it, then we can hit it up with a Pain Split immediately and really whittle it down. So I think it's quite useful. Next, we have our main answer to Dragonite. That is a Shuca Berry Metagross. With Rocks, Toxic, Meteor Mash, and Ice Punch. I've noticed in my team building that I tend to slap Rocks on just any mon that can run it. But the problem with Metagross this week is that it's really important that I preserve my HP in case he is a Tectonic Rage Dragonite. Because if he's at +1, we should be able to live comfortably with our Shuca Berry. But not if we take a ton of residual damage. If he's not Z Tectonic Rage, then I guess it doesn't matter as much. But otherwise, that means that Metagross can't really pivot in on other mons and set up rocks. And having those rocks up would be extremely useful for Dragonite. So we're going to have to see, like, maybe he doesn't bring D-Knight, and I can use Metagross more freely to set up rocks. But otherwise, it might be difficult to get up rocks in this game. So that's just something that I've noticed about my team building. It's tough on my particular team because I only have 2 rockers. So I'm sort of forced to just run it on whatever I can. In any case, we also have Toxic to hit things like Hippo that would be switching into this, or Darmanitan potentially. Meteor Mash and Ice Punch is just sort of like the best neutral coverage combined that I can hit versus his whole team. I really wanted to put Grass Knot for that Hippo, but Ice Punch was just too crucial for hitting Dragonite. So hopefully I can get that thing's multi-scale broken, and then an Ice Punch does easily take it out. So that is the plan. Next up, we have a very potent set. We have a Subseed Serperior. I've brought Subseed so many times this season, but it's just so good. It's like, outspeeds almost everything, and then you just like sub up repeatedly, and you get all of your health back from leftovers and Leech Seed. And if you do manage to get up hazards, I've got 2 sets of hazards on this team. Even if they want to pivot around on you to try and weaken you, it's great because every time they switch around, they are taking all that hazards, all that residual, plus they're taking residual from Leech Seed and everything. So it's just great. It's really good at wearing down teams. And like with the combination of Leaf Storm and Hidden Power Ice, is pretty much enough to hit his whole team. It's true that it doesn't really hit Darmanitan or Mawile all that hard, but if those things are offensive, they don't take +2 Leaf Storm. And even if I can't hit them that hard, as long as the Darm is in Scarf, I just Subseed them. Like, it doesn't really make a difference. It beats its checks. It's super reliable. It's super bulky. It's really a fun mon to use. It's one of the biggest surprise on my team so far. I've had the most fun using Serp this season. But yeah, this is mainly going to be my pivot into Hippo and Sandslash. If he does choose to bring Sand. Even if he doesn't, I'm sure Hippo's going to be coming in on Zard and things like that. I can bring Serp in pretty easily to defend my Charizard. So, last but not least, we have a Metronome Greninja. So, let me explain this for a moment here. So, Greninja it's not really the strongest Pokemon in the world. Base 95 attack, base 103 special attack, nothing really to write home about. And it's true, Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, etc. decent powered moves, but you put Greninja up against a bulky Psychic type, and it just has a little bit too much trouble breaking through them. And Necrozma is on my opponent's team. Necrozma is very scary, and it has Prism Armor to further reduce the effectiveness of my Dark Stab. So, I didn't want to lose to a Calm Mind Necrozma, so I didn't want to run Dark Pulse, but Night Slash is just kind of too weak on its own. I could run Life Orb, but Life Orb just has limited longevity, of course. And so I thought Metronome would be kind of a cheeky way to try and beat a setup Necrozma. Because I could run E-Belt or something like that, but even E-Belt might not, depending upon his spread, he still might not be able to two-shot him. But if he wants to repeatedly Moonlight on me as I'm going for Night Slash and things like that, Metronome, it removes his ability to do that. Because it does more and more damage every turn. So we'll get him to the point where he's taking more than 50%, and he'll either be forced to attack me or sack his Necrozma. So that's the main reason for Metronome. Otherwise, this coverage that we have is just very good versus the majority of his team. Gunk Shot for Primarina, again, Night Slash for Necrozma, Ice Beam for Dragonite, and Hydro Pump for pretty much everything else. The only other move, I don't think I really needed any of the coverage this week. I could have potentially put on U-Turn just for momentum. But I like this much better. There's really nothing else. I'm trying to look, see what else might be useful. I can't find anything. Maybe Shuriken, that's about it. So yeah, really like this set. Hopefully it puts in the work. And that's going to do it for our Team Builder versus Deebz. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you go check out the battle tomorrow. Should be going up at around the same time. And yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. Make sure you guys check back to the channel for all sorts of other gaming and Pokemon content. Until the next time, I will see you guys later.